And welcome to our fourth annual Moorpark College Foundation Job Ready Alumni Forum, featuring our journalism program. Good evening, I'm Michael Hoffman, and I'm proud to be a member of the Moorpark College Foundation Board of Directors. I'm an adjunct professor at Moorpark College in journalism since 2000, and I am the Career Education Grant Director at Moorpark College. I've got 20 years of experience working in the newspaper industry as a reporter, as an editor, niche publication director, and I'm very excited to represent the Moorpark College Foundation and the journalism program here today. These forums were designed to showcase the amazing career education programs at Moorpark College. Many of these career-focused programs can be completed in a year. If you'd like more information on those programs, on these 23 great programs, you can find them listed at the Moorpark College website at moorparkcollege.edu/CE for career education. That's the end of the commercial. The Job Ready Forum was created by the Moorpark College Foundation for current and potential students considering these programs, and for the community at large. Some of you may have seen our advertisements on social media and in the local Acorn newspapers. It's a chance to look back at successful alumni to share and ask them to share their experiences, both at Moorpark College and in the industry. Our alumni will also be sharing their personal stories of their journeys that they've transitioned from being students to becoming seasoned professionals. We'll also be hearing from a couple of industry partners who are also campus advisory board members. To bring it all together, to add insights to the depth and breadth of a particular program, we'll have one of our Moorpark College faculty members serving as host of the forum. Tonight, we're happy to feature our journalism program, and it's my pleasure to introduce Kelsey Stewart, our lead faculty at Moorpark College in journalism and the facilitator for the Moorpark Reporter. That's Moorpark's award-winning digital publication that allows students the opportunity to publish news stories daily and gains hands-on newsroom experience in multimedia for print and online journalism. Welcome, Kelsey.
Thank you for having me. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our program a little bit. The Digital Journalism and Public Relations program at Moorpark College is actually the only two-year journalism program offered in Ventura County. With the exception of the newsroom, all of our journalism courses are fully online, with the majority of them offering zero textbook costs. Journalism students are highly encouraged to complete our 9-unit online certificates. We have the digital journalism certificate and the digital public relations certificate while majoring in the program. Our student-run digital newspaper, the Moorpark Reporter, has secured the General Excellence Award for its overall layout, publication quality, and reporting every year. This semester, we are publishing 2 stories a day with a staff of about 20 student reporters. We recently launched the MRPR. It's a public relations club that works alongside the Moorpark Reporter to enhance its community presence, as well as offering students networking opportunities with community public relations specialists. Our program offers a chance to gain a real-world experience with a host of opportunities for students that include internships in campus departments such as social media managers and public relations specialists, as direct networking with local community internship and employment opportunities. Lastly, this semester, we are hosting a local digital media specialist on our MR Spotlight broadcast, which will be a weekly on-campus broadcast and podcast starting next month that will offer our students the live interviewing experience on camera with our media advisory board members who have been industry leaders in the digital media world. We have a few of those members here with us today. It is a pleasure to introduce some of our alumni. So we have Ryan Ketchum, a 2019 MC graduate working in broadcast as a full-time multimedia journalist at KHSL KNVN TV Action News in Chico, California.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. We also have Luis Miron, a 2019 MC graduate working as a marketing and promotions producer at Telemundo 52 and NBC4.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure coming back to Moorpark.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Danny Ramiro, a 2019 MC graduate working as a reporter for Yahoo Finance.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I want to welcome all of you to the forum, and I would also like you to meet some of our industry professionals. We have Sean Green, a 2009 MC alumnus who works as an editor for the LA Times.
Hi, everyone, nice to see you. Well, nice to talk to you.
Yeah. And we also have Roxanne Baker, CEO of Pursuit Media Group, based in Oceanside, California.
Hello, happy to be here.
Thank you everyone for coming. We're going to start with a few questions. Panelists, we're going to ask you questions that will go from Ryan to Luis and then to Danny. Okay, if you need me to repeat them, then let me know. All right, so here's our first question. Having been in the industry for a while, how do you think your experiences at Moorpark paved the way for employment opportunities and prepared you for the workplace?
One thing that I'd say is Moorpark definitely prepared me the most. So I went to Cal State Northridge after Moorpark College, and one thing that was really interesting, I actually was able to take Professor Sean Green's course. It was digital journalism. And one thing that I learned in there, I learned how to create packages. I learned how to create, the videos for news that I do nowadays. And I learned kind of the frameworks of that. When I went off to Cal State Northridge, who has a great journalism department, the starting class for digital journalism was behind what I already learned with Professor Green. So just seeing how much they prepared me at, while being an underclassman as well was fantastic. I also went into sports broadcasting. So I had all the experiences covering football, basketball, volleyball, all sports in Moorpark College, which definitely prepared me for the next level.
That's great. That's great to hear. And Luis, what would you say?
I mean, I would say the same things that Ryan said. It was a very eye-opening how well Sean prepared us for our next step in our careers. I think having that certificate of multimedia was one of the best decisions that I could have done, because when we got there, we were definitely so far ahead that we started doing other things, being well prepared, taking the basics at Moorpark was, I think a lot of the complaints that I heard from people that were going to Cal State Northridge from the lower level classes was that they were not as prepared as us. They had way more questions than we did. And I was like, this was basic stuff that, Professor Mike Huffman taught us, Sean taught us. So I feel like we got there and we were like ready to go, just kind of like give us what we got and we'll figure it out. So that's all I can say. Yeah, we were well prepared.
That is great to hear. Fantastic news. Danny?
I feel like I'm one of those people that kind of backtracked. I, went to Baylor University and got a college degree and then decided I want to go into journalism. So I took a few classes at Moorpark College, also with Kelsey and Sean, and I definitely learned a lot. That's really what kind of made me want to pursue broadcast journalism, if anything, just learning the video side of stuff, also just connecting with the community. I think that's so crucial that really helped with, being involved in the newspaper specifically, just allowed me to really connect and, also connect with the students too. What are they talking about? What do they want to hear? What do they want to read? I think those are aspects that really helped me understand what storytelling is about on a local level. So I would say, those aspects really did help at, getting it from Moorpark.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That is great to hear. So let's move on to our next question. Can you tell us some of the positive aspects of your career? What motivates you to work in journalism? And back to Ryan.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of motivations with my journalism career. I started at 16 years old and when I was back at Westlake High School, and it was in sports broadcasting. And one thing that I always thought about was when I'm looking at my dream job in the future, that's a play-by-play commentator for a national television station. There's only a handful of people that work in that position. So, there could be a lot of people that tell you, you're not going to make it, you're not going to get that far because there's so few positions available. But something to always think about, at least is what I think about, is there's somebody working that position, right? So why can't it be you? So when I'm working every day, I'm working closer and closer to that step. I'm trying to focus on everything that I can, focus on every little detail about that one video that I ran, that one interview that I conducted, just to be able to get closer and closer to that point. So I think that really motivates me, just kind of knowing that it's a far out there job. It's far out of most people's reach, and just being able to know that I can actually work to get it. I think that kind of what motivates me every day.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Luis, what about you? Can you tell us some of the positive aspects of your career currently and what motivates you to work in journalism?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, like, a lot has to do with my personality. I love talking to people, getting to know them, getting to know their stories. And I never thought that could be a career, like, I was very lucky to have found the thing that I loved. But it was crazy because Professor Hoffman, I went into his office because the semester already started, and I didn't want to fall behind. I was already like kind of late going back to school after so many years. And I asked him, I was like, I'm kind of like Ryan. I wanted to be in sports. I want to be the play-by-play commentator. Obviously, that has changed throughout my career, but I was late to the, starting out with my career. And Professor Hoffman said, no, don't worry. We'll get you a code. We'll get you started. I think it was like 2 weeks already into the semester. And he was really helpful. And, I'm thankful for that, because I just was able to get on track. Sean was a big part of that too. And then I think what keeps me motivated, it's like finding professionals that do care about their career and care about the things they produce. And I kind of feel the same way. Being Latino in the industry, you want to give the voice to the voiceless and, represent the problems that we face, but also understand them, so that's kind of the thing that keeps me going. And that's the things that I do love to do and highlight my community as well.
That's great to hear. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. And Danny, let's see, can you tell us a little bit of positive aspects to your current career and what motivates you to continue to work in journalism?
Yeah, well, I started as a local news reporter out in Palm Springs. And so that really allowed me to, get involved in the community and understand what that community really wants to hear on their daily news, right? And so from there, I realized, I had a big passion towards consumer reporting and really investigating that side. And I loved business news, just understanding the stock markets. I think that's something that, I didn't really grow up understanding. And so I really wanted to take a challenge and understand why, people invest in stocks, certain stocks, right? Apple is one, and Netflix. Why? What attracts a consumer or a retail investor to really invest in those companies? So I really wanted to understand, I wanted to take on a different challenge. And I think switching to Yahoo Finance really allowed me to understand macroeconomics too. Why are consumers, feeling inflation right now? Also gas prices. Why are gas prices going up? Those aspects are macroeconomic topics. And I really wanted to understand that and storytell in a way that is conversational, that anyone can understand. And I think that's something that Luis had mentioned about, I'm Latina, and that's something that, kind of gets lost in the Latin culture, is the understanding of business, economics, understanding your 401k, your retirement, all of those things. And so I really wanted to bring that aspect and that knowledge to also, my community as well. So that's really what motivates me.
That's great. That's great. You seem all very motivated, and that's great to hear. And you're still loving your jobs. So that's a plus. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Describe wait a minute. So sorry. What is the most important skill set you gained from Moorpark, and what do you think are the important skills to develop and secure future employment in the current digital media industry?
Yeah, so I think some important skills that I personally learned at Moorpark kind of went along with what Danny said a little bit earlier with actually networking and just kind of being almost in a local community. I work up here in Chico, and I mean, every day I am in just in the community. I'm around locals all the time, and I'm just talking to them. And that's one thing I kind of learned at Moorpark with, the importance of that, and speaking to people, and just being open to learn. I covered sports for play-by-play commentary for I think 2 years before I got to Moorpark, and by the end of Moorpark, I was doing it for 7 years. And I mean, somebody can look at it and say, sure, you're 7 years into your career, but I mean, I had so much to learn. I still have so much to learn. So always being open to learn, and being humble enough to, I guess, drop yourself down a little bit, and be willing to take in that advice. I think something a little bit outside of broadcasting, or just journalism in general, that was something that I learned at Moorpark as well. I was working around 80 hours a week plus going to school. I had my job at Moorpark, then I had my broadcasting gigs as well. And one thing that I learned is to find a place, a person, and an activity to escape stress. Stress is definitely something that comes with this territory, that comes with the job. It's a great job, it's fun, but it does get stressful at times, as most things in life. But I think at Moorpark, while balancing all those things, juggling all those positions, I learned to find those things, find a healthy person, a healthy place, a healthy activity to escape stress and be able to wind down after a long day of work. So I think that would probably be my best advice, and something that I hope everybody learns too. I'm still finding it as well. I'm still learning it too.
But that's well said. And you're going to have to tell us. So what do you do to unwind?
So to unwind, I love going to the gym. So the gym is just a happy place for me. So the activity itself could be basketball. I always love playing basketball, but just working out. A gym is a place where I can go, I could put down my phone, and literally for a good hour, 2 hours, however much time I have, I could just escape, and I could just be in my own element and not have to worry about everything else going on in the world. And while being a reporter, any position in journalism, you do have to escape because it's everywhere. So,
Right.
That's a place where I could go. I mean, talking to my parents, I'm living alone up here in Chico, talking to my girlfriend, she's long distance right now. That's always a great time, spending time with my friends. Those are the people that I can have healthy activities with, and, just escape that stress. So I think that's definitely important.
Well said. Thank you for sharing, Ryan. Luis, what would you say is the most important skill set that you gained while at Moorpark? And what do you think are important skills to develop to secure future employment in the current digital media industry?
I would say the skill that I learned and was the most important so far has been to be a good storyteller. It doesn't matter the media, whether you're doing it as a reporter, as a writer, in PR, if you're able to get the story across, that's worth a lot in our industry. So being able to really learn that throughout, at least when I was there through video, was really helpful for me. One of the things that I've also done that I still do today is I'm open to everything. I think Ryan said it, the industry is so big, we're so new to this that there's so many things to learn. So I never say no, and that's kind of like how that's how I was at Moorpark. Sean asked me to shoot a video for the visual that happened with the shooting in Thousand Oaks, and we were there. I've never edited a video, but he guided me through it. I got through it, and I fell in love with it. So if I would have said no, I don't know how to do it, and then just walked out, I would have not done it, right? So that attitude of I don't know how to do it, but teach me, or I can give me some time and I'll learn on my own. Because there's a lot of information nowadays. To say that I don't know how to do something is not an answer. That there's so much information nowadays. There's access to classes online. There's tutorials. There's all these things that you can do. So I think that's a skill that I've definitely still to this day. I'm open to anything. I'll do it, because at the end of the day, you never know where those opportunities might take you. The job that I have today is because of that, because I was open to so many things. I interned at a Hollywood studio doing promos. I never thought I would use it, but I was like, you're going to help me with my editing skills, So it all came back together to me just being open. Same thing when I interview, I told them, I was like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to keep growing. I say this now, I'm a baby in this industry, so I'm still growing. So why not be, taught by the best? I feel like I was taught by the best at Moorpark, at Cal State Northridge. So why not do it in my industry? It has helped me a lot. And then it's important to be open-minded. I think Ryan was saying it too, like you have to be humble. You know, we all want that dream job, right? But if you focus too much on like being streamlined, like there's only one way, most likely you'll fail. You might or you might not, but the chances are so slim. But if you diverse yourself, I think Danny also was one of the ones that told me this, because I remember talking about like, oh, I want to get into soccer. And she was like, no, Luis, you got to diverse, you know, talk about other sports, you know, tennis, you know, like all these things, you know, you're a Latino in a big market that wants to do soccer, you know, you're not the only one. So I think it's so true. You got to diverse yourself, you know, your portfolio, you know, your skill set. And that will take you a lot further than just suffocating on one thing that you want to do, because at the end of the day, you're not the only one that has that dream. So I think that's one of the skills that I would definitely share for sure.
Good. Thank you. That's well said as well. Danny, you're up. What is the most important skill while at Moorpark? And then what do you think is the most important skill to develop currently?
Yeah, I think the skill part was, I wouldn't say it's a skill, but something that I learned from you, Kelsey, also, Sean, is the fact that there's room for everyone in this industry. And I think that was really key, because that gets lost in journalism, right? What's the headline? What's the story, right? You got to beat people to it, right? And I mean, competition is good at times, but just understand, I think that was something that I really learned taking both of your classes, is that there's room for everyone and there's a place. You might have a good skill at, you know, video, or, you know, you might have a great skill at writing, but it doesn't, you know, you can byline or co-line, or, you know, you can work together and, you know, succeed in that way. So that was something I really, really learned at Moorpark College, is that there's room for everyone, no matter what your dream is, no matter what you want to do in the industry. And then the other thing is an important skill, I would say is ask questions. Keep asking questions, even if it's obnoxious. I think I did that to Sean one time. Like, I think just asking questions is so key, because that's how you're going to learn. Even if it's like your roommate, your classmate, whoever it is, ask questions. That's how you can think of like, oh, you know, this is a good story. Maybe we should be going in this direction or that direction. So that was another skill set that I would say is just really important, is just ask questions. Even if you think it's dumb, it's not dumb, because at some point it could lead you to a story. It could lead you to another idea. There's so much to cover right now. It's unbelievable, you know, on a local level and even on a global level. So I would say those are definitely skills that I learned at Moorpark College. I don't know, did I answer everything? I forgot if I did.
Yeah, you did. That's perfect. So we're going to kind of jump back to Ryan, and we're going to talk a little bit of how you guys kind of got where you're at right now. So where did you transfer? How did your experiences at Moorpark help to settle you into the program? And then, or did you start another program and then switch into journalism? Some of you guys have already shared. So if you want to enhance that at all, talk about that application process. If you want to talk about your current career, something like that. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I went from, as I mentioned, Moorpark College to Cal State Northridge, and I was there for 2 years, and I had a broadcast journalism degree. I had my bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. Graduated in May of 2021, and yeah, Moorpark College, I mean, it helped me tremendously. I mean, even to this day, one thing that I was able to do, which I would suggest everybody to do, is Luis was mentioning this, but take all the opportunities that are given to you, or that are out there. Because I was doing play-by-play commentary for Moorpark College. So the first live shot that I had to do up here for Action News Now, I wasn't as nervous. You know, obviously you're still going to have nerves because it's your first live shot for a television station, but I already had that experience. I was already doing it every single weekend. So I was able to, you know, get more comfortable with it, you know, different things like that. The class, all the classes that I took with all of you, I mean, with you know, Professor Hoffman taking the what it was, the newspaper class. Well, when I was part of the newspaper team, we only had like, I think 6 to 8 people in the class. It was something like that. It was very small. So I was out covering story after story after story. And that really prepared me, because today, I mean, I had 3 VSVs, 3 live shots. 4 VSVs, 3 live shots in a package. And I was just running everywhere in town, and, you know, had to cover a bunch of stuff. So you know, being able to have a lot of things on my plate and being able to learn how to manage it and have some time management skills, that really helped me as well. So my time at Moorpark College has definitely helped me. It prepared me a lot better than maybe, you know, going directly to Cal State Northridge. You know, Cal State Northridge, they have a great journalism department, but the one-on-one, you know, the one-on-one time that you have with your professors at Moorpark College, the experience that you can get, all of the activities that you could do as well. I mean, you could be part of the radio team, which you can't do at Cal State Northridge and be an anchor until you're a junior or a senior. Same with news department as well. I mean, I was an anchor for Valley View News at Cal State Northridge my senior year. I wouldn't have been able to do that in my underclassmen years if I went straight to Cal State Northridge. So definitely take all the opportunities that are given to you or that are open. That's probably the best advice that I can give, but it definitely prepared me well for the next level of Cal State Northridge in all facets, especially with writing as well. Writing is very important in this field. If you think that, you know, you'll be a reporter or a play-by-play commentator like I was as well, and you're not going to have to write anything, I mean, that's definitely the opposite of what you're going to do. I mean, you're writing constantly, no matter what position that you fill, you know, in journalism. So that definitely helped me out as well. But it led me to this place out here in Chico, California. Had a great opportunity, and it's been fantastic ever since. I think I probably covered everything right there, but
Yeah, no, but thank you. You did. No, it's great to hear. And everyone wants to hear, you know, how you get to that next job. How do you get to that next level? So thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. And Luis, let's move to you. Where did you transfer? Can I kind of just tell us how you kind of got to with where you're currently at right now?
Yeah, I mean, I started like Ryan, you know, I mean, me and Ryan are classmates from Moorpark to Cal State, so we graduated the same year. So I started, you know, I'm a lot older than Ryan, you know, but I was going off and on a school, you know, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Took my regular, you know, general ED classes, and you know, when I found my passion, you know, I went straight in, you know, like I was like, this is what I want to do, this is what I like, you know. And I do, you know, I gave my 100%. And, you know, I got to say one thing about Moorpark, you know, they really do know what they're doing. Like the department, like I give you guys props for that, because I was new to journalism. Like I wasn't like, in high school, I wanted to be a journalist. No, none of that. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Let's jump into it, right? They were really good at preparing me from like zero experience about being a journalist. Maybe I would, you know, the reason why I got into journalism is because I used to watch the pre-shows, the post shows for the soccer games, you know, and one of the girls that I was dating at the time, she's like, you should do that. You could probably do that. And I was like, okay. So I did some research, and I was like, what do I need to get? So that's how I got into the program. And so I had zero experience, and the program really prepared me, because the 2 years that I was there, when I transferred to College State Northridge, like I was like way ahead of like the kids that started maybe off at College State Northridge. And I mean, like Ryan said, like I really think College State Northridge has its benefits and, you know, and some things that they can work on, but at least in my experience, compared to Moorpark's lower level division classes, they don't compare, because you guys taught us so much. One of the things that I really was like really thankful for was the fact that I was able to join the journalism class where we ran the newspaper. You know, we were doing it digital at the time. It was Sean's first year. You know, that first semester was rocky, but the second semester, you know, we gave it our all. Like all of us that were there, you know, we were committed. We learned so much. We produced so much content, you know, and it was a class of like us motivating each other. And we learned so much that I took that with me like to the next level, you know, in my career, that when I got to Northridge, I was able to run the El Nuevo Sol, which is the Spanish speaking digital newspaper at CSUN. And the only reason I felt confident doing that was because I've done it at Moorpark, helping do that, right? I wasn't the one in charge. But I was the one in charge of the media team at Moorpark. So I was confident enough that I could do it, that we could produce the content at Cal State Northridge. You know, that was a one semester class instead of like, you know, every semester, like at Moorpark. So I told my professor and my advisor, I was like, we should do this even if there's no class. You know, we should get people that are interested, because one thing that I've learned with all the people that I've talked to and all the the professionals that have come to speak to us at College of Northridge was experience is still experience. Whether you do it for
Right.
school, whether you do it, and kind of like Ryan talked about that. Whatever you
Mhm.
do, as long as it's in your field, that's still experience. It doesn't matter if it's like someone small, or you're in your community, that's still experience. So I told them that we still need to produce content, even if we're not taking the class. So, we put a team together, we got a grant that we were able to get paid for the work that we did. We got to interview a congressman, so which was
Right.
big at least in my part was big. I was like, wow, that's, I'm still in school. It was through Zoom, but he was able to come talk to us, about the topic that we were doing. And, it just shows, it gave me a little bit of confidence that, I could do this. I've been well prepared from Moorpark, where they gave me the basics that I've been building on those blocks and moving forward. And so that's, kind of how I got to like the job that I am now, because I kept learning, I kept improving. And like I said, I took every opportunity that I could. And if I did not have that confidence that I got from Moorpark, I would not never taken that job. Never taken that lead role at the Spanish speaking newspaper. Then I would never been recommended for the job that I'm now, because the job that I got now was recommended through my professor, the one that I was running the newspaper for. He said, you should apply for this. You're bilingual. That's what they're looking for. Apply for it, And those, at least me personally, I've noticed how much I love speaking to, to the younger class. I just graduated a year ago, but I really think it's important, because a lot of the people that came back and talked to us helped me get to where I am today. Even if it was just a small advice, one of the girls that came to my class, she had a full-time job. She had to go to school full-time, so she didn't have time for an internship. And I told her I'm in the same situation, and she told me that experience is experience. Go out, do it for like a local organization. Do whatever you can, but do it on your own. Do it for yourself, for your YouTube channel. And I think that was really helpful, because when I got to my interview for my actual job, when I'm at now, I had a huge portfolio that I was able to build either a editor resume, a reporter resume, a general journalist resume. So I had so many options, and I'm thankful, because it was all because I was prepared at Moorpark, but I had no experience. That I'm thankful for the program. I'm thankful for the professors that I had there that prepared me for where I am today.
Right. That's so great to hear. That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing, Luis. Danny, kind of same question. You kind of gave us a little bit of a run through how you started, but maybe if you want to go into depth, maybe how you got in with Yahoo and where you went after Moorpark.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of backtracked, I feel like, from getting a bachelor's to going back to school to, study something completely different. Highly recommended, by the way. But aside from that, the other thing was, I mentioned getting involved in the community. It was by doing the newspaper at Moorpark really allowed me to connect with resources outside of Moorpark. And that's what really inspired me to pursue broadcast journalism, because I was talking to the PIO at Cal State Channel Islands, and she had been a former news broadcaster. And so she was telling me about her experience, and she was just like, Danny, if this is something you really want to do, go do it. You can do it, And I was like, wow, I'm hearing this from outside, right? And so it was that motivation to really pursue that. But in order to get an internship at the station that I had originally started at, which was in Palm Springs, I had to have college courses. So Moorpark allowed me to get that internship. Sean, when I took his class, I was able to make a kind of a reel and also a website, which allowed me to kind of, send that over when I was applying for internships. So I really think that internships are really key, especially if that's an industry where you want to get into. Then I did local news for almost 2.5 years, and I learned so much. But like I said, community is key, especially if you're at a local level. And then from there, maybe I manifested it. I don't know, but some opportunity on Twitter came up with Yahoo Finance, and I decided to take it and go with a leap of faith, because it was something that was kind of when you get into journalism, you start owning your beats and what you really like and
Right.
what you want to research in. You know, journalism is doing the research, reading the data, seeing where these numbers are coming from, or why people are saying, you know, gas prices are high or inflation is, you know, really high. You know, you gotta investigate those things, right? Why you can't just say it to say it.
Right.
You know, my biggest pet peeve in journalism for a while during the pandemic was, you know, we have a trucker shortage with the supply chain. You know, we kept hearing that. Oh, you know, why do we not have like food, you know, certain supplies, you know, on shelves? Oh, because of a trucker shortage. Is that really, you know, is that why it's causing our supply chain bottlenecks? So I actually investigated. I like went out to the ports and started talking to people and longshoremen and truck drivers. And, you know, you got to just get involved out there. Yeah, and that's something I learned at Moorpark, is just asking questions, keep asking questions.
Yeah.
If something just, you know, triggers your mind, go after it. And so that's kind of what allowed me to stand out also at my job as well, because business news is so different from local news. So that's
Right.
advice that I would give too.
That's fantastic. Thank you everyone for sharing. I think we're going to do one more question, and then we're going to introduce our advisors a little bit. So would you say, Ryan, securing your current job, does that tie into any specific experience that you received from the program? And then if not, part of the program did you benefit from the most, would you say, at Moorpark?
Sure. Yeah, I would definitely say it does tie in with the program. I mean, what I learned from Professor Hoffman, you know, with a bunch of stories toppled on top of each other, and being able to, you know, have my time management skills decipher through it, and be able to learn how to write under pressure, I guess you can say, as well. Be able to hit deadlines too. You know, that's very important in this career field, and that definitely was a class that helped me out a lot with what was known as the student voice, you know, when I was in it. And you know, Professor Sean Green as well, when I took his digital journalism class. Just going from, you know, no video experience, I didn't know anything about videography and angles or anything like that, to start actually visualizing them, and seeing what how visually you can tell a story as well. I think that was very important, which I learned through that. And all of my experiences from Moorpark definitely helped me out. And something that I also wanted to share as well, with networking, and just the
Right.
importance of networking. I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but when I was at Westlake High School, I worked with Conejo TV, a local station, and it was just kind of local government. You know, it was volunteer stuff. I was covering games. I was covering events at the Civic Arts Plaza. I was doing everything that was available to me. Somebody watched that broadcast. It was actually Emery Johnson back at Moorpark College, but he somehow was connected with me and heard that I did broadcasting for Conejo TV. So then he asked me to jump on and be the play-by-play commentator over there. Then one thing led to another, and then some people at CSUN knew that I was working on that. So I was able to do more at the radio station and do more at the television station over there. Then
Right.
a graduate from Cal State Northridge, he then came up here to Chico and started working for Action News Now. A year later, I graduate. He puts in a good word for me with the boss. The boss contacts me. Now I have that position. Then after going through that, just having the Cal State Northridge connection, I now have a connection with Fox Sports and ESPN, where I have a podcast with 3 statisticians that work for them, that's been working in the business for a while. And it was that CSUN connection. And now I have a podcast with them, and I've met with the senior vice president in charge of talent to possibly get a position in the future. So networking,
Wow.
networking.
Yes.
That's very important. Each position that I had and the contacts that I made led me to my next position. You still obviously have to work hard. You have to be dedicated. You have to continue to improve. But if you don't have networks, if you don't have that connection, it's going to be a lot more difficult to move forward towards that dream job or where you want to go. If you have that connection, if you have that network built, that's definitely going to help you a lot. And it helped me.
Right. It sounds like it did. Thank you, Ryan. All right, Luis, would you like to go? Do you need me to repeat?
Yeah,
the
do you mind just
question?
repeating the question for me real quick?
I kind of married two questions. So,
Okay, go for it.
in securing your current job title, did that tie in any specific experience you got from the Moorpark College program? And also, what did you benefit the most from the program, if you haven't talked about it already?
What I benefited more from the program was, like I already said, like the basics of journalism,
Right.
that was really helpful for me, at least in my case. And I think, the fact to learn as a team, because
Right.
a lot of people think, I could do this on my own, I can just grind out and then just do it on my own. But, kind of like Ryan said,
Mhm.
that might work. But if you network with people, if you work well as a team, you might be able to get more done than if you're doing it yourself. Unfortunately, it is a team career, I would say, like even in my career now, like in my current job, we are a team, and it's a small team, but it's mighty, and we get a lot done. And I think Moorpark really like taught me that, a lot of the staff at the student voice at that time, when we were there, we were all new to the student voice. Usually there was one or two students that were like there before you. But I think, Sean, like 90% of us were new, right, to the student voice when we were there. So we kind of like did it on our own. We figured it out. But we did it as a team. We had Sean to guide us, and then we took initiative and then did it on our own. So that really helped me understand that you need to network, you need to work as a team. And you also need to put yourself out there, because nothing's gonna come for you. If you sit
Right.
there and wait for your dream to come, it's not gonna happen. You have to go out there and chase it. And
Right.
the reason is, yes, you have to put in the work, but a lot of times it's like who because
Right.
if someone puts in a good word for you, that's going to get you further than someone that, yes, might be putting in the same work as you or even more, but if they're not networking, they're not going to get as far. And that's just the truth, at least in this industry, that I've noticed. Just recently, a friend of mine asked me, if I knew someone that I would trust to recommend her for the job that she had, because she just got promoted, right? I did have
Right.
someone. So I sent her, her contact info, because I knew her working with her personally as a team. She was part of the team that I put together in my time at CSUN, running the Spanish paper. So I think a lot of it has to do with like working as a team, who and then putting in the work, because if you don't put the work and people don't realize that, they're not going to recommend you.
Right.
Your work shows who you are and what you do.
Mhm.
You can talk all the talk, but if you don't show it, then there's no point. So I
Mhm.
think Moorpark really taught me that. And, that's something that to this day, like I'm still close with a lot of the people that I went to school with, Ryan, we keep in touch. Whenever I need help with sports, I call him. There was a couple times that I called him when I was at CSUN, because he was a little bit ahead of me in the program. So I think, the fact that you get to network with people, and honestly, like in this industry, don't be shy. That's one thing I can say, like, don't be shy. Don't be like, at least in my time at CSUN as well, like a lot of the people were afraid to just ask questions, at Moorpark, I love soccer. So I was in charge of the soccer team at Moorpark. I would go out to the games, I would go ask questions, and all those things helped me when I was, in my next chapter in my education, because we would go out and cover, and I was ready, I was prepared. But a lot of the students there were like, how do you just go out and ask people questions? I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's what we do. That's literally our job. So I think that's what I can say about Moorpark. The program there, and I mean the student boys, the Moorpark Reporter, as it's known now, they definitely do a great job. The content's there, the structure is there, because that's literally how it is at work now. Like, I think about like
Right.
the setup that we have at my job now, and the setup that we had at the Moorpark Reporter. It's the same thing. You have your people that are in charge of like certain aspects of the newspaper. I was in charge of media. We had the writers, we had all these different things. So I think that's one thing I can definitely say that I learned about Moorpark, that I still think about to this day, the structure of the program.
That is well said. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you,
course.
Luis. Danny, last but not least, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I got it, but unless I miss a point, then I will ask you. But I would about the program. The benefits of the
Right.
program. I'll start there. Was your guest speakers, Kelsey? Your class, you would bring guest speakers, and I thought that was really from all walks of life. I would say, that were in different industries, and I thought that was really helpful to kind of see that, like I said, there's a place for everyone. And that was really like hammered home in the program that attracted me to be like, wow, I can do this. Right. Also, the other thing is that there's different types of journalism. I thought that was really key too, right? You could be a video journalist, or you could be a written journalist, or, a photo, whatever it may be. Right. And so I think that was something that the program really showcased, is that you can be a journalist in many different ways and still get the story across, no matter how you show it or how you tell it. So, and then the student voice, which is now the Moorpark Report, or am I saying that reporter? What is it?
Moorpark Reporter.
Yes. Okay. So, that the newspaper was so key. I think you get so much exposure in that. And just, from the pandemic, like, I miss the newsroom so much, that atmosphere. I think that's like really key to like journalism, is like, bouncing off ideas, and you get to, I got to do that. And that's key, right? Like, that's okay. I'm hearing this about sports. I'm hearing this about, student life, and, all these different things, right? All these different subjects. So I think that exposure during the program was so crucial, because that happens, like Louis said, even now in my job now, that type of format. And when you're pitching stories, you gotta pitch stories. And so that's something you learn as well, how to pitch, what's the headline, what matters, why do people want to read your story or care to read your story too. So I would say those were key things that I learned at the program, that I benefited from the program.
Well, thank you for sharing. So what I'm hearing is networking, community, never say no, humility and skill set development, and just continuing to promote outreach with different media outlets. It's kind of what I'm.
One thing I do want to add, Kelsey,
Yeah.
that I just thought about was mentorship. I think none of us have touched about that, because that's super important. I can say that personally, because in each aspect of my education, and even after my education, I had a mentor. Someone that really guides you, someone that tells you if you're doing things right, and it's giving you advice. But one thing I do recommend students as well, besides getting a mentor, is really listen to the advice someone's giving you and don't take it personally. Because at the end of the day, you choose a person to be your mentor because you know and you trust them that they're going to make you a better journalist, right? So I have 4 mentors that I really look up to and different aspects of journalism. And, I always ask them for feedback. I always show them my work, because I do want them to make me better. And I do trust the fact that they will make me better. And so I think that's really important, because I don't think we've gone as far if I've never reached out to them to say, hey, can you help me with this? And, and we do have to be, we got to get out of our comfort zone and do ask people like, hey, can you give me advice? Hey, I know it's a little intimidating, because they're professionals there, they're in the field already, but I would say, like, at least in my experience, like 90% of them do want to help you. They do want you to succeed, right? So I was very lucky to have that kind of experience with my mentors, and I would say that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them. So I think that's something that I do want to say before we wrap this up, because it's important, because like Ryan said, like, with school, you do have that one-on-one with the professors. But you get to university, sometimes it might not be the same, because everyone wants that one-on-one. So that having that mentorship, it's super important, because they do give you that one-on-one. One of my mentors was one of my professors in a season right toward at the end of my senior years, and he saw how excited I was about doing stories, how excited I was about getting out and recording. That he said, I kind of want to offer you some like some side jobs that you could do until you get an actual job. And I said, yes, and he has really like helped me, get to that next level. He has taught me things that he did teach me when we were in that classroom setting, but he gets more detailed. He gets more, that one-on-one, we have calls, we have Zoom meetings.
Right.
And that's really important because that has no value, that has no value, that you can't put a price on that. And so
Right.
I really do mean that, like, I'm only as good as I am today because like my professors and the mentors that I've chose that to get me where I want. And
That's huge.
as well as like having I think Sean told me this when I was in my third semester at Moorpark. He said, the friends that you have today at Moorpark most likely will be your friends long after you graduate. You guys might move to different places. Ryan is in Reno now. I still talk to him. And a lot of my friends are still that backbone, where we keep each other accountable, we help each other. So to anyone that's listening to this, that's so true. Like those friends that you make in either community college or at a four-year university, most likely will be someone that you run into like later on in your career. And so I would say stay in touch with them, and help each other, because like Danny said, there is room for everyone in this industry. I've heard like, oh no, it can get very toxic. People are going to step over each other to get to where they want to be. At least in my experience, it hasn't been like that. We all helped each other grow. So it's only if you do help, you want to see everyone succeed. And I think that's very important. That's something that Moorpark also taught to me, something that they told me to do.
That's great.
I wanted to add,
yeah, go ahead, Danny.
I just wanted to add to Luis, because I thought that was really key, is the friendships. My former editor-in-chief of the newspaper for, the Student Voice is now my really good friend. And at the time she was a tough cookie and I couldn't stand her, but now I love her and we have this really great relationship. So yes, the friendships that you do make from Moorpark College, they end up, being lifetime friends. I mean, I haven't lived that long, but still, I would say that.
That's well said. You guys are not going anywhere though. We're just interviewing. We're just going to go through Roxanne and Sean. So we're going to open up to our advisors. So Roxanne and Sean, thank you for joining us. Again, Roxanne is the CEO of Pursuit Media Group. Sean is an editor for the LA Times. Sean has also taught prior courses at Moorpark College and also is an alumnus himself. So just a quick intro again. So I'm going to ask Roxanne, first off, what qualities do you look for in job candidates or interns when you're looking at a resume or you're interviewing?
Yeah, so what Pursuit Media Group is, and I spent about 10 years doing the more traditional journalism route as well, and then transitioned a little bit more into public relations and marketing. So Pursuit Media Group, we are a lead generation company as well as search engine marketing and organic search as well. So we hire graphic designers, we hire content creators, we hire writers. So the biggest quality I look for is simply being able to write and craft a really great article. The line between public relations and marketing content and journalism. I love hiring people who have a journalism background because they're the best writers. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is having quality content up on the site and for our partners. At the end of the day, we can always teach certain aspects of social media or maybe some additional graphic design or something like that, but writing, definitely being able to have that as your core skill, and then building on that with all these additional hats that you would inevitably wear as a journalist.
Thank you. And does your organization, or how about this, describe the most successful employee for your organization, or the ideal employee? They would be a strong writer, a strong journalist. What skill set would be needed?
Definitely a strong writer to start off with. Anytime I would hire anybody, we would start with a writing sample. So having a strong portfolio, something that you can send over quickly, is really great, because I know job applications can be really time consuming. So just having something already in the coffer that you can send out, that's great. Any of your work that's published anywhere, just so I can kind of take a look, and you can tell pretty quickly as well. It doesn't take me long to be able to say yes or no, this person knows how to correctly write and write succinctly and clearly, and be able to get a point across in an effective way. And then On top of that, I would say being able to wear a lot of hats with, I think anyone who's worked in journalism has had to be multiple people at once. Being able to be a graphic designer, being able to be a writer, being able to host a podcast, being able to correctly do your own SEO content for your own articles, and so that people can actually see them. So I would say being diverse in your skill set, even though I would have writing as your core skill, and then I would build on top of that once again, being able to know different platforms for social media, and then also someone who's willing and able to learn. So in every job that I've personally been at, whether that's print media or public relations or in broadcast, I've always had the core set of skills, right? And then being able to add on top of that of things that I would inevitably have to learn for that particular job. So just being open to learning new skills on top of your core group.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's good to know. What would you say when you're looking for interns to hire? What would you recommend for students to pick up at the Moorpark College journalism program? What would be one of the most important skill sets, would you say?
I would go back to writing. That would definitely be the most important skill set, because that's your foundation. That's your basis, right? And then I wouldn't get too in the weeds on some of this tertiary skills, because those are the things that change, and that's where you have to learn how to adapt. For example, when I was in school and first starting out, one of the great things that I was able to bring to the table for jobs that no one else or not many other people could was digital media and social media marketing, which back in the day it was Facebook and like the very beginnings of what Facebook was for businesses versus just on a social media platform. And it was the transition of social media for personal use versus for business use. However, all those skill sets are, 15 years old now. So you have to be able to adapt every year to whatever new technology it is, whatever new platform it is, whatever new editing software it is. That would be primary.
So how the industry has obviously changed in the last 15 years, like you're saying. What do you think is next? What are the new skill sets needed for journalists today?
Oh gosh, I have to think about that one. The new skill sets. Oh gosh, probably. Well, I think being a one-man band has always been important, and then that just the new skill set would be what that means going forward. Right. So, and how that's different. For, I guess, well, in my industry, we're more about public relations and everything. So what that means for TikTok, for example, or Instagram, or any of these other different platforms, and being able to be your one-man band, all encompassing as a journalist, so that you can pick up whatever job is available and whatever you're shooting for.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you, Rox. I'm going to ask Sean a couple questions. Sean, do you want to give a brief run through of what you do as well?
Sure, I'll do my best. I'm an assistant editor in the data and graphics department at the Los Angeles Times. So I focus on specifically digital storytelling. So bringing together like words, photography, video, data visualization, like maps, charts, and stuff I'd like to say like more wild and weird stuff that we're still kind of learning, like 3D things that spin around on the page or immersive experiences. That's the kind of stuff that I'm doing. So if you see like a weird thing on the LA Times website and you like it, it was me. If you didn't like it, I had nothing to do with it. So that was that's sort of what I'm focused on.
No. What would you say, being a prior intern, what would you say the LA Times looks for in students?
Yeah, I actually don't have a lot of experience hiring interns outside of this week, where I've recently gone through a stack of our internship applications. And I can say what really helps after reading 20 of them in a short amount of time is well, the first thing I should say, like Roxanne said, is writing clearly, being able to tell a story. I think that is really one of the most important things, one of the most important skills that translates across like anything you're doing. Just making your point clear, no matter what medium you're using. If it's writing, video, or a data visualization, your point has to be very clear right away. And being a sharp writer will help you across any format that you're using. But the next most important thing, I think, looking in your application is enthusiasm, like for the job you're applying for, and just being able to demonstrate those skills that you've acquired at Moorpark College or started to learn. I want to see something that you were really excited to do, something you were really passionate about, a story, a project, a video, anything, just something you made, something you're proud of. Tell me how you did it, why you did it, and what you learned. I just want to see someone like really fired up and proud about something they made. So your skills on your resume are important, but you need to show the reader of that application that you can actually like do them and show us how you've used those skills. It's really helpful to see, I think.
Good. Yeah. What would you say, the industry has obviously changed in the last 3 to 5 years. What would you say, what's next as far as skill sets besides writing?
I mean, yeah, that's hard to say. I don't predict the future very well. Talking now a lot about like, virtual reality, augmented reality. Stuff that's pretty hard to produce, I'd say, but like you learn the basics first, and that starts with photography, with video and video editing. I think if you have the fundamentals down, you'll be well prepared to kind of adapt to whatever is next. I can't really say what that would be.
Adaptability. Yeah. I mean, at the essence.
And just authenticity, like I'm maybe a little too old for TikTok, but I know the LA Times is starting it. And what's really important is that like if like a big sort of old style brand or perceived kind of like old school brand like the LA Times is showing up on TikTok, they have to do it right or the audience isn't going to respond to it. It's gonna look strange. So you again, like, yeah, it comes kind of down to adaptability, authenticity, and just those basics, kind of being able to kind of like work in the space and know what something is for. And if you know what it's for, if you know what TikTok is for, who's on TikTok, you can communicate to that audience. Is knowing the audience, I guess.
Yeah, knowing your audience, knowing the current skill set market, and also again asking questions, it seems, and being prepared. Okay, so I think Roxanne or Sean, you guys can answer. Just describe the most successful employee. And actually,
I can start on that one. I think a really good skill set for a successful employee would be knowing how to balance your time, because every organization will have limited resources, whether that's time or energy, or really anything. And being able to balance your time between certain quality content and certain quantity of content is really important. You still need to be able to have fresh content all of the time, really, but it can't all be quality, right? That would be great if it could be, but that's just not realistic. And you can't spend all of your time getting bogged down with these intense, amazingly researched quality material, because then you'll never have an updated site, you'll never have fresh content. And so it's really about marrying the two ideas of quality versus quantity and finding that line and that balance. And whether that's throwing up a great photo gallery because you got 45 minutes and you need something up new on the website, and then spending that extra couple of hours, 2 days on that that great showpiece, really. So having a few showpiece materials with some bulk material, I think, is a really good skill set to have as a successful professional, whether that's in journalism or whether that's in public relations, because you have to wear a lot of hats typically in any of those industries and companies.
That's well said. Does anybody else want to answer that? Sean, would you like to? The most successful employee?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you can answer that two ways. Like a successful employee is definitely something you learn at Moorpark. It's how to collaborate, really be a part of a team. And I don't know what else really more to say about that is, you know, the team projects in college that you lament about, you know, they're real. Like, journalism is a team sport. I think that's something I said a lot when I was teaching at Moorpark. It really is, and it's not anymore just like the, you know, one byline, chase your own story and don't tell anyone about it. Journalism involves a lot of different storytellers to do one story. Even if it's just an editor, a copy editor, you work with photographers, you work with videographers. You don't need to be an expert on everything. You just need to know enough to communicate with them and to know what's possible. And you don't, you know, ask for things that are, you know, unreasonable. I'd also say what makes a good intern is, you know, someone who, like Danny said, asks questions, you know, reaches out to people, especially when we're working remotely, you know, just sending that Slack message or that email and asking, hey, can we do virtual coffee, or can we do real life coffee if you're in person? Just like, you'd be surprised if you ask for someone's time, you'll be surprised what you get back. They will if you reach out to someone as an intern or as a new employee, they will respond to that. They'll be flattered. You want to talk to me? I'm like, I can't tell you how many times people at the LA Times have reached out to me just to talk. Well, why do you want to talk to me? Of course, sure. Let's set up a time. And so you just do it. You don't get anything you want or need if you don't ask, right?
Right.
So you have to ask.
Yeah. Thank you. That's well said as well. So I'm gonna ask all of you, and you guys can kind of pipe in as needed. But what recommendations do you have to students coming into the program currently, as in regards to just everything we've been through? So we're post-pandemic, where we're at right now in the field, where it's, you know, sometimes remote. We're all kind of getting back out there. What would you recommend for students? What would you think might need to be a skill set that was enhanced maybe, or something that was forgotten that needs to be revisited? Or what do you think? What do you think students should focus on coming in? Anybody?
Yeah, I can start.
I can jump in on that one.
Oh, go for it. Go for it, Roxanne.
Time management, learning exactly how where you're spending your time and tracking it, I've found has been really important. You can spend, you know, an 8-hour day working on something, but what are you actually working on, right? And where's your time going, and is that time worth it in the end? Or should you be spending your time on maybe a project or a story that is more important or has more legs or something like that? So I would say, yeah, looking at your time management and just knowing thyself on that too, on how you efficiently work. Then there's a lot of really great opportunities now that are remote, and hopefully that continues to be a trend. I've been location independent for about 8 years now, and that one of the biggest hurdles in the beginning was learning how to properly devote my resources and time to certain projects, because you can't do everything. And then knowing what works for me, and then being able to bring that to an employer, that you already know what works best for you and your system, especially if you are going to be going back to school, maybe via Zoom, or take up a side job maybe while you're at Moorpark and as a writer or something like that.
Yeah, thank you. That's well said. Luis?
Yeah, I would say definitely like come in with an open mind and be willing to learn all the different aspects of journalism. I think like Sean said, you don't have to be a master at everything, but even my boss, my current job said that, you at least have to know the understanding of the aspect of the industry, like, like, let's say for us that we're in TV, someone that has been a producer, has worked the camera, that has edited a video, that has created promos for the station, people that understand the whole industry as a whole sometimes are more valuable than just someone that has, like they said, like one hat. So I would say like be open to learning. I would say that's one of the biggest ones I would say. And also time management. I think that's very true. Like you have to learn how to time manage, because a lot of times, they would throw different projects at you, and you got to manage how important is one compared to another one. What are your deadlines like? And see and understand that you can't do everything at once, and you can't be everywhere at once. So learning how to time management, that that was one of the challenges that I had at the beginning of my career, and I'm glad I did it at school and I learned it at school, because when I got to my actual job, like I'm a lot better at it. This is not time sensitive, so I can maybe reschedule this. In our field, there's times where things are on, breaking news happen, so we have to adapt to what's going on. So be very good at adapting to what's going on the day by day. I mean, that's why I like journalism. Not every day is the same. So, but also be prepared for that. One day could be nice and quiet, the other day could be just chaos all around. Exactly. So that's one of the things I would definitely recommend.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to touch on that?
Yes. Try everything you can. Get your hands on a camera, a still camera, a video camera. I don't know how much I should embarrass Luis, but the story he told earlier was absolutely true. He did not know how to edit video when he walked into my class. And then I think he undersold himself a little. He really wanted to learn. I didn't really push him into it, but now he works at a TV station. So he never would have known that he loves this if he didn't try it. I have the opposite experience. I was sort of encouraged in graduate school, actually. I did some video at Moorpark. At some point became afraid of it, and then in graduate school was again sent out with a video camera, this time in like some mud in the San Francisco Bay. The tripod got like stuck in the mud and messed up, and I couldn't get close enough with the camera. And that's when I realized that I wanted to learn computer programming and make interactives for websites, and not carry cameras out in the mud. And I had to learn that. It was a trial by water, trial by mud. And so trying different things, whether like, that's the only way you'll know if you like it. Like I thought maybe I wanted to be like a foreign correspondent or something. I don't travel very well, actually. So now I know, I'm better suited for graphics design, data analysis. And really at Moorpark, it's don't be afraid to fail. So you just try new things. You're not going to love everything, but you have to be willing to be surprised. You never know what you might be good at until you just pick up the camera or sit at the editing bay, or write that HTML code, start that website. I want to say, like, the recipe assignment to just bother my 3 former students on this call. I don't think anyone actually liked that one, but I did when I was assigned the recipe, making a web page for the first time. So you have to try it all, and that's what Moorpark is a great place to do.
Yeah. Anyone else? Thank you, Sean. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'll take it. So, yeah, I think, as people were discussing, adaptability and, getting out of your comfort zone. And I think that's very important, especially during this time that we're in, because, during the pandemic, there's been, some people had to attach, a microphone to basically a broomstick pretty much and, hold it out a good, 6 to 10 feet away from somebody to interview. That's something that, you don't know that you're going to have to do necessarily until it happens. So just being able to adapt to different situations. Luis was mentioning about breaking news. I mean, literally in this news business, you can have all your stories set, you're doing your interviews, you're finished with some stuff, you're writing your scripts, you're, editing your video, and then suddenly you get the call from the web person and, oh, you got to go out to breaking news,
Right.
and that's also when time management comes in, because the news director is not going to like it if you just drop those other two stories. They're going to want those stories. So you're going to have to now manage this new breaking news with all the other stories that you're working on. So just adapting to all the situations that come around. What Sean was mentioning about not being afraid to fail. I think that's one of the biggest things, not just in this career, but in life in general. So many people, Luis was mentioning about how people were afraid to ask questions. Why are you afraid to ask a question? Because you're afraid that you're going to be, people are going to look at you a certain way, or the question is going to be labeled as stupid, or, it's going to be an easy question that everybody knows the answer to. So you're afraid to fail. You're afraid of what, the result is. So just trying to train yourself to know that failure isn't you actually, for failure, you learn stuff from failure, I guess you could say. But one thing that's very important, just I have learned in my career, is the only way that you're doing something wrong or you need to fix something is either somebody tells you you're doing something wrong, or you see it done the right way and you know that you need to change something. That's the only way you know that you're doing something wrong. So you have to, I guess, quote unquote, fail at it to then learn how to do it properly. So failing's actually a good thing, I guess, in this business, in the thought process of knowing that you are going to now understand what you did wrong and you're going to be better next time. So I think that's important to know. And as I mentioned, the adaptability, in this field.
I was
Thank
going
you,
to chime
Ryan.
in really quick. Just one last little note.
Yeah.
Do your research. So during the pandemic, I think a lot of people got lazy, journalists as well included in that, where you just call someone, right? Because, you had to social distance, you couldn't go to places, businesses were closed. Well, now you don't really have that. We're in the endemic now. We're not even saying pandemic as much, so I think going out there to the story, talking to the small business owner, going out into the community, asking those questions, even if it's with a mask on still, like just going out there and not just relying on your phone to, give you the story or, take from what was already reported. You gotta think ahead of it. So that's the best advice I would give, is just because you see a headline and you're like, oh, well, that's already been reported. Well, not really. You can forward the story in a different way. You just have to go out there and really search and talk to people. So I would really, don't get lazy. I know that happened a little bit during the pandemic because of the situation that we're in, but now we're no longer in that. So that's what I would get, my best advice.
That's great advice. I hope all of our students are listening. That's fantastic advice. So at this moment, I'm actually going to open up to the audience. If there's any questions, feel free to chime in.
I think there was a question on the Q&A. Oh, it was gone.
Sean answered it. Thank you, Sean.
Oh, there you go.
Feel free to add to them, though. This is my sort of humble opinions and stream of conscious answers. So
very appreciated. So if there's no questions, we still have about 9 minutes. Just I'll keep an eye on the Q&A. But as we're wrapping up, just another question for kind of everyone. What do you guys see in the next few years, given the political climate, the public's current views on media, ethics, bias, all of that good stuff? Where do you see journalism students what should they expect, or where do you see it going? journalism is definitely more of an employment opportunity these days than it was possibly when all of us were in it. So what do you guys think?
I would say keep an eye on like what's happening like digitally. Like, you
Right.
know, there's a lot of talk obviously with Facebook and, you know, the metaverse and all those things. I would say it's a lot of people know saying it's the next wave of the internet. So I think
Right.
definitely keep an eye, study it, research it, like kind of Danny was saying, because, you know, there was a point where we all would say, why, I mean, nowadays we film with our phones, a lot of us, and do news like that, right? Like no one thought that was going to be a thing. You know, no
Right.
one thought that one person could do the job of like five. So our industry keeps evolving. So I think it's interesting to see, you know, keep an eye on those kind of things. It might work, it might not work, it might be the future, it might not, but just keep an eye on it, because if it does take on and you are keeping an eye on it or like understanding it, that could help you a lot, because you're ahead of everyone else, right? You're not catching up. You're already like in a way teaching everyone what's happening, right? And that's something that I've learned from my time at Telemundo and NBC. You know, unfortunately, you know, a lot of people that I work with are a lot older, but they are understanding that you have to change with the times. You know, there's places where they're very much about, no, this is how things work and we don't change. You know, I'm fortunate to be a part of a team that's the opposite. You know, my boss is like, yeah, what do we want to try? Luis, you know, Nicole, which is my other coworker that is around my age. What should we try? What's new? What's this, right? So if you're able to do that on your own and look out for like the new trends, new format of media that's happening, you know,
Right.
it's important to understand. And it's like Ryan and Danny has said about the local level, if you ever understand what the community wants, you know, the community changes, you know, like people move out of state, people, you know, will change different locations. They'll live in different cities because, you know,
Right.
of their needs. So knowing that as well, I think is important to stay ahead in the industry.
And I'll just piggyback actually on what Lisa's saying. I think that's a really great way to break into certain jobs as well, especially right out of Moorpark or right out of college, being able to have those skills that are on the cutting edge of the industry. That's a great way to carve out an opportunity for yourself where you might not have been able to compete with somebody with 5-10 years of experience. Is now you're bringing a certain skill set to the table that they might not have, or that they certainly don't have experience in. And it's great to have those as being your little showstoppers of, hey, this is what I can bring to the table, to the team, that you might not already have there. And this is why I would be a good hire. And that's definitely how I was able to carve out back in the Stone Ages of Facebook and all these other different, the big social media ways for journalism is, hey, I know how to do this. I'm fresh out of college. I might not have the same experience that a veteran journalist might have, but this is what I can bring to the table. This is why you should hire me. And it's getting your foot in the door.
Right. Right. Thank you. It's important. Anybody else on that? Changing climate?
I really like what Roxanne was saying about kind of separating yourself. I think that's the biggest thing, you know, you have to think about, especially in this business. There, you know, writing might be very important and all these other skills are very important, but a lot of people know how to write, and a lot of people, you know how to do all these other skills that you may know how to do as well. So finding the way to separate yourself. You know, but one thing that I did, I know one of the questions on the Q&A that Sean answered a little bit ago from Alex Ross was talking about the technical skills that you need to learn, but then also the classes outside of journalism that are important. I didn't know if I needed to know any of this information, but I took a prevention and care for injuries course, a kinesiology class at Moorpark College. And I tore my knee, I tore a few ligaments in it, and had some surgery and everything. So it was kind of, I was trying to learn about my knee a little more and how to prevent it from happening next time. But I also took that opportunity to possibly add something to a broadcast. So when I was calling a football game later on that year, I believe there was an ACL injury, and the motion of the injury, I was able to already understand that it is probably an ACL or it was a serious knee injury from my experience from another class. So not necessarily that I'm going to use it during a broadcast. You know, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I'm not trained, but it just gives me a bit more understanding than maybe somebody else at the same position that I am. So just trying to find that way to be able to put you over the top over somebody else, you know, over the competition that separates yourself, that can make you more hireable, more desirable out in the job field.
Right. That's very well said. I would say taking that beat and really owning it. I know, Danny, you had a BA in finance, right? Before you moved into Yahoo. So that was super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add to Ryan's point and, you know, and Roxanne about, you know, TikTok is growing. I mean, I didn't think I was going to like TikTok, and now I'm kind of addicted to it. You know, just watching people's, you know, videos, I think is very entertaining. But I also have come across, you know, girls who give PR advice, right? They're like, you know, this is what I would do if I was doing a campaign for Kit Kats. I don't know, that just came to my mind, you know, just random things. And you're like,
Right.
oh, that's interesting, creative way. But they're giving advice on TikTok of what you could do as an idea for a commercial or an advertisement. So I thought that was really creative. Like, I didn't really wouldn't think that, you know, and they're using the screen behind them and they're kind of storytelling in that way. But the other thing I would, you know, also send a kind of an alarm to that too is, you know, don't become a mainstream as well, because, you know, being a journalist is to dig and get the truth, not just report or say what other people are saying, because that could be totally false, you know. So it's also being careful in that aspect as well, because we kind of get that in social media about like resharing, right? We're resharing things. And is that really true? Is it, you know, did you contact that person that initially posted that
Right.
video or that photo? You know, do your, you know, double check everything when you are putting your name or your brand on something. That's something I would really hone in on.
Yeah. That's very good. Is there any other comments on that last question? So, Roxanne, no?
Good.
Good.
I'm
So
good.
what I'm gathering, we have about 1 minute left. I really appreciate all of you coming in and just taking the time to give our students just such a solid outlook on what it was like to be in the program, what it's like to be in the field right now, what it's like to be further in the field as a point where you're advisors for our board. So I just really appreciate all the time that you took to come in and prep for this and just give us your time and your knowledge and your background and your experiences. So thank you. I think as we wrap up, if there's any more questions, please type them in the chat and we will try to get to them. Sean, thank you for answering the questions in the chat. I think, you know, we're going to hope to see a few of you come in as guest speakers, hopefully for our MR Spotlight. I've asked most of you, and most of you will get an email if I haven't asked you yet. But our students love seeing you guys either live or through Zoom, just come in and share just kind of like what you did tonight. Just give them an outlook that they might not have thought about as far as career-wise, and maybe even just some tips on how to get there. So thank you very much for everyone tuning in. And I think that will be it for the evening. Mike Hoffman, here you are. Yes.
I've got a quick wrap up, Kelsey. Thank you
Yes.
very much. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a member of the board of directors of the Moorpark College Foundation, and the foundation helped organize and present this alumni forum. Thank you guys very much for your time. The foundation itself provides many services and events like this for students at Moorpark College, for alumni, and for the community. The foundation focuses on three main areas of support. First, scholarships. This is an ongoing priority. The foundation provides student scholarships every year. Last year, $182,000 in scholarships was awarded to Moorpark students. And we're currently planning this year's scholarship award ceremony in May. Second, Rising Scholars. This is a program that identifies first-generation college students in middle school and provides them with tutors and mentors throughout their middle and high school coursework. then grants them free tuition at Moorpark College and it guarantees their transfer to a four-year institution. Third, Raider Central. This is a center, it's our basic needs center on campus. The center is located next to the cafeteria and it supports our students with their most basic needs. The need for a center like this has never been more critical. And the Moorpark College Foundation is determined to ensure that no student should go to class hungry or be worried about where they're going to be sleeping at night. These initiatives are important, and just like events like this are important to introduce you to our students and to programs that illustrate just what Moorpark College students can accomplish when provided an opportunity to succeed. If you'd like more information about the next alumni forum or the foundation, you can find us at moorparkcollege.edu/foundation. If you'd like more information about Moorpark College's Alumni Association and what it has to offer, visit moorparkcollege.edu/alumni. Again, I'd like to thank all of our panelists, Sean Green, Roxanne Baker, Ryan Ketchum, Danny Ramiro, Luis Miron, and our lead faculty member, Professor Kelsey Stewart, for this evening's discussion. And I'd also like to thank everyone for continuing to support journalism program and our alumni. Thank you.
Thank you.